Well, when you talk to older investors that have invested in real estate and you ask them, what advice do you have for me starting off? Everyone I've ever talked to has said location, location,
Yep.
location.
Yeah. Yes.
All this other stuff we talk about just goes right out the window from someone that's done it for 50 years. And they say, buy in the right area with the best schools. The appreciation you get will trump any bit of cash flow that you thought was important.
Yes.
And you won't have the headaches. And there's something to be said for understanding. Like, I think Brandon and I had a conversation about this, and we were both trying to work our way through it, that you could literally go buy a $10 million mansion in Beverly Hills and lose a couple $1,000s a month because the rent wouldn't cover your mortgage. But if you looked at your tax savings and your principal reduction and your increasing rent and the overall value of that mansion going from 10 million to 20 million over 10 years or 20 years or something, you would make insanely more money than if you bought a handful of cash flowing places somewhere in the Midwest that just crept up. And when you get into that cash flow is all that matters mindset, you miss the big picture of what you're describing, which is you built your net worth with a handful of properties so much more than the people we interview that say, oh, I've got 110 doors out there somewhere where they don't get much appreciation and they have a ton of headaches, because not all money is good money. Some of it is just blood money, man. Like, you bought yourself a job. You did not buy an investment.
But that's also where we talk about the like different phases of your investment, right? In the beginning, like I said, in the beginning, cash flow is all that matter. I like to say cash flow gives you freedom, but appreciation gives you wealth, right? So like the cash flow, like again, I don't regret buying the $30,000 junk crap house that rented for $700 a month. I don't regret that because it helped me get out of my job. Like, those properties got me out, which gave me the ability to start building more wealth. And as my investment in yours, I can see that yours is kind of the same way. It starts shifting. You can start playing a little bit more appreciation. So just because like we're talking this conversation now doesn't mean everyone listening is like, oh, you know, screw it, I'm going to go out and lose money on a Beverly Hills mansion, right? Like, that's probably a terrible idea. But
Call David Greene for a $10 million house.
Exactly. Call David Greene. He'll represent you on that. He'll tell you it's a great deal. But there is something to say. In fact, just another day I was talking to a buddy of mine who said he just hung out on a boat with a billionaire, this billionaire real estate investor. And he got invited to some special mastermind thing with a B. Yeah, billionaire. And the guy's advice was, well, I'm like, basically what he said is, back in the 70s and 80s, I just read a book that said, location, location, location. And that I read one book and I was like, all right, so I'm just going to buy in good locations. So he's like, I just kept buying properties in the best locations around the country I could find. And he made really good, I don't remember what he did. He had some actually job that made really good money. He's like, every property I bought lost money. Every single one. I would buy a property that lost money. It didn't matter. It just lost money. But I knew that one book told me to buy location, so I just did. And today, all those properties are worth over $1 billion.
There you go. And that's probably how it would work for everyone else too. You gave such a good example. Those first cash flow properties that we're all buying, they get us out of the rat race. They get us out of my nose is in the grindstone. All I can see is my boss and small thinking. They're this little box that you step on that you can peek over the fence. And as you peek over that fence, you're like, oh my God, there's people that are making a lot more money than me that are not nearly as smart as I am, right? Look at that guy. He sits in front of his pool all day long. He doesn't even try. And what is he doing? And when you get that perspective, that's when you can start taking advantage of these other opportunities. But you do need to get those first few deals, which do need to cash flow, and that's why we always talk about it. And Brandon has a perfect strategy for anyone who wants to do this, and he calls it the stack. Brandon, can you tell us how the stack works to do what we're saying?